Welcome to I was just making sure that the thing was recording. But anyway, welcome to my very first football video. As you can tell, I am excited that football is back, even though it's preseason, it still counts. The day of this video being recorded is on August 5th, which means that the next day, the 6th, or it could be today, it could be yesterday. I don't know. I know it's going to take me a while to edit this, but the Hall of Fame game will be tomorrow as of this recording. And so, in a way, football is back. And with that comes a lot of opportunities, whether it's to get to the promised land, the Super Bowl, maybe just win the division, tank for the next best thing at the draft, and so much more. Hi, Kitty. But these coaches are not in the best of moods. They are on the hot seat, as people call it, meaning their jobs are more than likely on the line for this whole season. And a lot of these guys here could be gone either by the end of the season or before um or before the end of the season, actually. So, without further ado, let's get started on this. So, first off, at number 5, we're going to be talking about Zac Taylor from the Cincinnati Bengals. Look, you can blame the injuries all you want, but he's got to come up with something else. And ownership in the way and the GM roles are not really helping Zach out a whole lot. That's why I have him at 5, thinking that he's more than likely going to survive at the end of the season. Same with the next guy on the list as well. But we'll talk more about Taylor in a second. We're going to talk about Taylor now, actually. I don't know why I just said it like that. The Bengals, though, have not been to the Super Bowl since 2021. And besides the 2021 and 22 season, every other season following that, they have missed the playoffs. And right now, he sits at a total record of 52, 63, and 1 heading into the season. And the defense is usually on the bottom, and star players like Joe Burrow are consistently hurt due to lack of good linemen. This will continue to a point where Joe Burrow might want to leave Cincinnati and go to another team or retire or who knows what if this keeps happening. And at that point, you got to point the blame at Taylor. And he's had quite a bit of seasons that he could have got his act together, but he just didn't. And the reason why I have him at 5 is because of one specific reason. The Bengals kept Marvin Lewis for almost 20 years. And never once did he win a playoff game. So if that's the case, then Zac Taylor is like the Bill Belichick of the Bengals with making it to the playoffs in 2021 and 2022. And in fact, getting to at least the AFC Championship game, if not the Super Bowl. They have not won anything yet, but comparing those two, Zac Taylor is like Belichick to Marvin Lewis. So he might be staying because of the injury excuses, but if this keeps piling up, eventually he's going to get canned. My prediction is that Zac Taylor, if he is going to get released, he is probably going to be released at the end of the season. Number 4 on the list, and this one's going to be controversial, but just hear me out on this one. Number 4, Matt LaFleur from the Green Bay Packers. I want to say real quick before people get mad at the comments about this. I am not saying LaFleur is a bad coach. He is a pretty good coach in this league. And he is very successful, as it shows on Green Bay, including his ways to have the team still succeed without key players like Jordan Love. Just don't look at the playoff record. It's more likely he'll still be on the coaching staff in 2027 as long as he can manage his team without star linebacker Micah Parsons for a majority of the season. It was more revealed that he is probably going to be ready to return by week 6, which was a lot less than what was announced previously. My notes here, I wrote like a few days earlier, so we didn't know that he could actually return sooner. but he's still recovering from an ACL tear last season, which did end up the Packers losing 5 straight games, including blowing multiple double-digit leads against the Bears, and also that same Bears team also eliminated the Packers in the playoffs, which is not looking good. And also, they have not won a playoff game since 2023. So it's more of the January thing in the way that could have LaFleur leave. Like I said, I think he'll be fine overall. Like, something would have to happen drastically in order for the Packers to consider getting rid of LaFleur. But just like Zach Taylor, I have a feeling that he's going to still be on the roster unless something drastically happens, like the Packers go 0-6 before Micah Parsons comes back, and even then he might be still able. He'll still probably stick around. So, but I just think he's also on the hot seat too because of the playoffs. But again, that's just some assumption. But one who is more likely to be on the hot seat is number 3, Shane Steichen from the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts last year were the first team since the 1995 Oakland Raiders to miss the playoffs following an 8-2 start. And the second half of the season was when it really started downhill. Now, you could say that towards the end of Daniel Jones' run, he really started to come down a bit before he tore his ACL. But comparing that 8-2 start to the 0-7 ending, those rankings for like how many points per game, yards per game, opposing points per game, and all that, they went down drastically, but the opponent's one went up. So first off, the Colts, from when they were 8-2, they had a 32.1 points per game on average. During the 0-7 start, they were 20.7 points per game. The defense had given up 20.6 points per game to the opposing offense, but then they went to 29.4 points per game given up by this defense. And the big drop was the rushing yards. Went from 145.3 yards per game to only 79.1. Now, part of that, and this shouldn't be a proper excuse, but it's known that the Colts do not trust Anthony Richardson. They do not trust him to the point they unretired Phillip Rivers to come play the rest of the season. That 0-7 season, they much rather have old man Phillip Rivers play over a young Anthony Richardson, which does explain a lot. So I don't know. It's just like that was a big whiff by the Colts. Like, a lot of people were questioning that pick in the beginning, but it never fully developed. And when it did, he got too tired, which you can't do that in a situation like you're in the NFL. Like, a lot of people dream to be in that moment, and you're complaining about getting tired. But that doesn't look good on Steichen either, because he allowed this to happen, or he allowed it to continue, and he just hasn't developed properly. He got temporarily saved by Daniel Jones, but again, ACL injuries and all that, it really messed them up. So Steichen is definitely on the hot seat. Who's even got a hotter seat is Todd Bowles of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Just saying it outright, struggling to win a very easy division and got knocked out by an under 500 team in the Carolina Panthers. Now, that's no disrespect to the Panthers, because they fought till the very end to get that playoff spot, but the Buccaneers had it in their hands this entire time. So now, let's just throw that all away and give the Panthers a win, because you had it in your hands. And now they're entering the season and people don't want to really be there, which is kind of sad. Like, Mike Evans had left for San Francisco, and now you have an upset Baker Mayfield which is not a good thing. Like, he felt disrespected that there was no long-term contract for his future. He wants that long-term deal with the Buccaneers, and he had his MVP like performance at the beginning of the season. He kind of fell down a bit, but in a way, like, he could still be a reliable quarterback for that team, and it's unfortunate that they don't see that as of right now, which is not a good sign at all to see, which is why one of the reasons why Todd Bowles is on the hot seat. And before we go any further, I want to mention 2 honorable mentions. The first one, it hurts to say, but if I don't mention his name, I'm going to be considered biased. So, in a way, I am legally obligated to say Nick Sirianni's on the hot seat. The head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, who made it to 2 Super Bowls, won 1, is apparently on the hot seat. To be fair, they keep bouncing around offensive coordinators. Like, we had Steichen. We had Shane Steichen as our offensive coordinator. We got to the Super Bowl. We lost in the Super Bowl, but we got there. And then we had, we had some random nobody, and out of nowhere, Matt Patricia, which still threw me off because he's a defensive guy, not an offensive guy, and you're going to give him offensive roles? Like, that was stupid. I was so frustrated that season. And then we had Kellen Moore as our offensive coordinator, and we got a Super Bowl out of it, which we were all excited about. And then he goes to Arizona, and then we got Kevin Patullo. Now, I had done stuff on TikTok for a small bit, and I had mentioned how frustrated I was about Kevin Patullo and his performance. So much so that most of the blame for the loss against the 49ers in the playoffs was A.J. Brown, and I said it like 3 or 4 times, Kevin Patullo. Now we have Sean Mannion, which I do have hope for, and from what we're hearing out of training camp, not only is Sirianni and Mannion getting along, but so is he with Jalen Hurts, which is fantastic to see, as well as the other players as well. But you can't keep having this hot and cold seasons with the offense, especially with that O-line core who is getting old, but they can still produce on the field. You just want to be careful when things like that occur, to where you keep going hot and cold when it comes to the coordinators, that they might look at the coach going, dude, you keep getting like our one-hit wonders and then our one-hit stinkers. So maybe that's why they're looking at it, but record-wise, Sirianni is a good coach. I don't know why people keep giving him a bunch of crap, other than the situation with the O-line. And then the next honorable mention, now this is more stuff off the field, but I see this more being for what could happen on the field if things don't progress well, and that's going to be Mike Vrabel for the New England Patriots. I'm not going to go completely into the stuff with him and Diana Russini. Look, they're adults. They did what they did. They shouldn't have done that, but that's none of our takes and says or anything like that. But take away the stuff with Russini. There actually now has been some, more recently there were some reports, I should say, involving the new wide receiver A.J. Brown already having issues with Drake May. Which that's in a way kind of funny, but I'm not going to worry about that too much because I don't think we even play him this season. I don't even recall if we do. I know we have a joint practice with them, but I don't think we play him in the regular season. But with Vrabel and his situation, if it affects the field, kind of like how it was in the Super Bowl, then maybe they'll start looking at this going, this is getting too much. And when all this was happening, it just rubbed people the wrong way. So that might be a sign maybe he has to go to kind of clear up the vibes of the of the organization, but I think he'll be fine, just like Sirianni, Zach Taylor, and Matt LaFleur. I think they'll be fine. I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. Unless something drastic happens, then I can see Vrabel going, because it could be like an outside noise issue because of everything that was going on with Rossini. And now finally, the one who has basically hell's seat is Aaron Glenn of the New York Jets. One of the ultimate no-brainers when it comes to coaches on the hot seat. He's quite honestly has the hottest seat with a continuing playoff drought to 15 years. Once had a fantastic defense a few years ago. Did not even record a single interception. And it's continuing on the QB carousel, which now is relying on, out of anybody, Geno Smith. You're relying on Geno Smith after a one-hit wonder season came to an end in Seattle. And then when he went to Vegas, he helped out the Raiders get the first overall pick, and he was gone. And also, and I looked this up too, and this was an interesting fact, that this Jets team was the first time since the 1987 Atlanta Falcons that ranked last in points per game difference with minus 11.9, yards per game difference at minus 42, and turnover difference at negative 19. That is very bad. He only has one or two seasons with the Jets, and we're already saying that he could be fired at the end of the season. But it's absurd on how some of these coaches keep their jobs and they do stuff like Aaron Glenn, and that's just really destroy a franchise down. So, just to wrap up the video, we're going to be doing a quick recap of the top 5 coaches on the hot seat, plus 2 honorable mentions. So, like I said, the honorable mentions were Nick Sirianni for the Eagles and Mike Vrabel for the Patriots. And then at number 5, we have Zach Taylor. Number 4 was Matt LaFleur. 3 was Shane Steichen. 2 was Todd Bowles. And 1 was Aaron Glenn. So, yeah, I'm going to continue doing these fun little sports videos, talking about some teams around the league, as well as mainly focusing on the Philadelphia Eagles, my favorite football team. And I can finally say it's the 2-time Super Bowl champions. I'm not going to really gloat too much about the Super Bowl wins because, yeah, they're cool, but that's now part of team history. So, hey, that's fun too, but I'm not going to really just brag about it or anything like that, because I know people want me to go, yeah, Eagles 2-time Super Bowl champs, but we'll get more. I'm not worried about it. We're going to get more Super Bowls. But anyway, that's all I really wanted to discuss today. Again, if you like all this, be sure to subscribe. I do stream games on Twitch. Right now, we're doing stuff on Multiplayer Mondays, as well as our current playthrough project on Wednesdays, known as Mouse PI for Hire. If you want to take a look at those, go right ahead. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on another video.